This video is going to discuss how to merge multiple data files into one project file in HOBOware Pro, Onset's HOBOware Pro software package. We're going to be talking about files that were offloaded using a waterproof shuttle device. However, this would apply to any files that you would like to merge, any Hobo files or other types of files, project files, etc. So here we have the waterproof shuttle connected to our computer. You can see that here down at the bottom of the screen. And I want to show you the difference between if you select device and manage shuttle versus device and readout using HOBOware. And again, we're using HOBOware Pro because you need HOBOware Pro in order to use the data shuttle. So we can click, if we click on a readout device, the second icon here, or click on device and readout, it will immediately read out the shuttle and take us right to the, you can see there's some automated actions, and it takes us right to the save folder in the Shuttle Management utility. So it immediately goes out, it looks at all the files that are currently on this shuttle. Again, we have 5. These were already offloaded once before, but again, it goes out, it reads them, and now it's giving us the ability to save them in a location that we choose. I'm going to close this. Again, that's using just readout, just like you would from a standard logger. If you wanted to take some different actions, if you didn't want to offload or read out all of the files that are on that shuttle, if you want to pick and choose, then you can go to device and manage shuttle, and that takes you to the shuttle management screen, and this is where you can actually select specific files. Again, if these were not offloaded previously, they would say not offloaded, and then you could select which ones you want to offload, if you want to delete any, if you want to offload any, etc. So this is the first screen in the shuttle management window. If you selected readout, it would take you directly to the next screen, which I'll show you right now. So I have these 3 water temp files that I want to offload again. So I'm going to check those off, and then I'm going to say offload checked, and then it takes us to that second screen. So if you went to readout, it takes you to the screen immediately. If you go to manage shuttle, it gives you the ability to select which files you want to offload. So we're going to offload those files and then merge them together. The first step in merging files is we want to open one of the data files. So we go to File, and then the first selection is Open Data Files, or you can do Control O. And we go into that shuttle readout folder that we created. Again, these were offloaded a day ago, but they're the same files that were off that shuttle. So what we want to do is we want to open one of them. So we're going to open the first one. Notice when we do, these are incremental offloads, meaning they're offloads that have been done periodically throughout the day from the same logger using the shuttle. The shuttle is offloading the data and then relaunching the logger each time with the same configuration. And you can see there is an _0, an _1 on those incremental offloads, so you don't have to worry about overwriting data. You can change these file names when you offload the shuttle if you want to, but these are obtained from that description or that name that we gave that deployment when we launched it using HOBOware directly connected. So let's click on Open to open this file. And there's our plot setup screen. I'm going to ignore these internal events. Internal events are things like when the coupler was attached to the logger, when it was detached from the logger, when the USB host was connected, things like that. Just for clarity, we're going to disable those. And again, that's a preference, a global preference in HOBOware that you can set to either always show those or never show those. And you can always turn them on in the plot setup screen if you're so inclined. So let's plot that data. So here's the first data file. Again, we're in SI units, so these are in degrees C. And basically, this device is in a bucket under my desk. It's a tidbit, one of our little tidbit loggers. And again, you can see that by going into devices, device info, And in the details pane, and you can see the model number of the logger and the serial number, things like that. So now that we have the one file open, you can see where I dropped it into the bucket here, and then the water in the bucket was gradually acclimating through the day. To merge those other two data files together from those incremental offloads, you click on File, Merge Data Files up here at the top of the screen. Zoom in, it says Merge Data Files. And again, those can be .hobo files, .hproj or Hobo project files. That's an important thing to understand, because if you need to post-process data from your loggers using one of our software tools called Data Assistance in HOBOware Pro, you cannot do that on saved merged files, because when you save the merged files, you're going to save it as a project file, and project files do not include enough information in them to use the data assistance. So we're going to say merge data files, and we're going to select our next two files to merge together. And you can do a multitude of files all at the same time. You don't have to do them one at a time. So we're going to select both of these by clicking on the first one, holding our control key on our keyboard, and then clicking on the second one. So we selected both of them. They're both here. We click on open, and we get to our merge series setup window. Here is where we can associate those series with an existing series in our plotted data. So again, I'm going to turn off these internal events just to keep things from being cluttered. Notice automatically HOBOware is seeing that we have a temperature measurement here, so it's saying merge with temperature from that plotted data that we currently have here. So this is asking you, is this what you want to merge it with? You can also select no series, and if you select no series, what it'll do is it'll put that series of data from that second file in a separate column. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it both ways so you can see how that works. But for now, I'm just going to leave it so that they will merge together into one contiguous file. So there's my two files, and it's going to merge these temperature ranges or these temperature measurements in with my original temperature. And again, these are all from the same logger, and we'll click plot. So now what we see, here's the first file here, and then we got a little, what looks like a gap in the data, but it really isn't. I'm going to explain that in a minute. And then here's the second file, and here's the third file. You'll notice that there's an increase right here, a little jump in the temperature, and it's because it was pulled out of the water to offload it and it happened to coincide with the time we were doing the offload with the shuttle. So these are actually just two data points. There's a data point here and a data point here. This is logging every 5 minutes. So merged together, notice we have this is our plot, and if we look at our data table, there's all of our data in one contiguous series or one column. If we selected merge with no series, we'd have 3 columns, and I'll show you. We're going to do it again, and I will show you what that looks like. What I want to show you, though, is what we think are gaps, which are not really gaps at all. What they are is, remember, this is a series of data points that we're recording every 5 minutes, and HOBOware, in order to plot these, it connects the dots. In other words, it is putting a line between each data point to make a XY graph. So all this is we're not drawing a line between these two data points and these two data points here. To illustrate that, what I'm going to do is zoom in. Now let's zoom in right here. And again, to zoom in, I went up and used my zoom tool, which is this little icon up here. Again, the little magnifying glass. And then what I did is I just took my magnifying glass pointer and click and hold the left mouse button and draw a little box around that space we want to zoom into, and then click inside of it. So there's my two data. Here's my second data file. Here's my third data file. And what we want to do is I want to show you the data points. The way we do that is we go up to the top of the screen and select our arrow tool. So up at the top of the screen, right in the middle here. And then we're going to double click on one of these series. So let's double click on that. And we're going to get the series property window open. This is where we can select to connect points. We can change the line style, the width. We can put in alarm thresholds. We can mark the points. We can change colors. What I want to do is mark the points because I want to show you each data point. And we can select what kind of marker we want to use. So we have the oval, a rectangle, a diamond. I'm going to use a diamond. And again, you can change the size of the marker if you want to. But let's click on Done. And now what you'll see, here are our actual data points. Each individual data point is marked with a diamond, right? So what HOBOware is doing is it's drawing a line between each data point to make the plot be plottable, be able to put in graphical format. So that's what our entire plot looks like. If I hit undo, I'll go right back to that same. And again, undo is right here at the top of the screen underneath help. So what I want to do is I want to confirm that I'm not missing any data. So let's use our crosshairs tool up here right next to the arrow and click a crosshairs right on that diamond. Okay, that's going to take us right to that data point number 43. And we can see that up here in our data table up in the upper left hand corner. Zoom in on that. So we can see data point number 43 was taken at 11/21/33 on April 20th. Zoom out again. And if we take our crosshairs tool and click on the next point, we'll see that it's 44, which is the next data point that was taken at 11/26/33 on the same day. So we can see that we're using a 5-minute logging interval. We didn't miss any data in that what looks like a gap. Again, HOBOware is just not connecting those together with that line. Also, I want to show you, here are the same data files. Again, I want to run through that same procedure, but I'm going to say merge with no series because I want to show you the difference. So if we open our first data file, again, we click open. And we're not going to show those internal events and click plot. So there's our first data file. And then we're going to say file, merge data files. We're going to select the same two. But this time in our merge series setup window, we're going to select no series for both of these. And again, no internal events and click plot. And now what you see is it's very similar to what we had before. However, each plot is delineated by a different line type. And we have 3 columns of temperature data instead of 1 that's merged together. So here's your first file's worth of data, here's your second, and there's your third. So it's a good thing to, for example, if you had multiple loggers deployed in a specific location and you wanted to put them into one data file, but you didn't want to merge them together because they're from different loggers in different locations, but they're over the same time period or something like that, this is a good tool to use to do that. And once the files are merged together to your liking, you would click on File, Save Project, and it gives you the ability to save these merged files as one Hobo project file with an HPROJ extension.